Hello and welcome back. Just play the clip.
Play DMC2 is the best. Dante is good and best in game. Play game, please.
Yep, it's time to review debatably the worst entry in the series. Not the most hated, mind you. That honour goes to the reboot from a few years back.
Fuck you!
Fuck you! No, this one's worse all aspects of the game considered. The game's development is a long story in and of itself. So to summarise it, I've come up with Development Hell Bingo! Starting off, the game was pushed forward by company mandate before the original game was even released. However, because of this early green lighting, it meant the people running Capcom had no idea what people liked and didn't like about the previous game. This game had none of the people working on the previous one on the team, and no input from the previous team either. Instead, they signed a brand new team. Had little to no experience on how to make a game like this. That team wasted way too much time on development and barely programmed anything, or having to be signed a completely new director and kicking out the previous one, who had to rush forward a complete game in the last minute. And bingo! Well, with the developmental mess out of the way, let's get on to the actual review with the quote-unquote story. The story is a confused mess surrounding our now two main characters. The game stars Dante, our once charismatic and lively protagonist, now stripped away of his personality, left nothing more than a husk of his former self, with emotionless dialogue and occasionally flipping a coin. And Lucille, a creation of the main villain Arius, who escaped his control and has been raised by a group of people whose ancestors once fought alongside Sparta to defeat the demon horde. They asked Dante to help out Lucille defeat a new demon army, collect 4 MacGuffins, and prevent Arius from summoning a powerful demon called Argosax. Some of the levels that the player goes to and the bosses that you fight change depending on which character you're playing, ending with a final battle either as Lucille fighting off Arius, who transforms into literally every final boss from the Resident Evil series, or Dante fighting Argosax, that starts out as a massive blob with the body parts of both bosses from this game and the previous game, that then transforms into a flaming humanoid demon who changes its gender repeatedly throughout the fight. Arius and Argosax are defeated, Dante escapes hell somehow and returns to his demon hunting business, and Lucille is never seen or mentioned again. The game is still technically a hack and slash. There are a couple of improvements from the previous game. The dodge is now a singular button rather than having to hold another button down and use the jump button. And you can customise your devil trigger a bit, but that's about all the positives out of the way. The game is a lot easier this time around. The normal difficulty on this game is about the same as the easy difficulty on the previous one, and that's just as Dante. In Lucille's levels, the game is even easier. Buying new abilities and combos with the red orbs is all gone now. Instead, you just buy straight damage upgrades for your weapons. And the guns are a lot more powerful this time. So much, in fact, you probably don't even need to use your melee weapons. All you have to do is just stand a healthy distance away from the enemy, hold down the fire button, and let the auto-targeting do its job for you. What makes this even worse is some enemies and even bosses can't be attacked by melee abilities, so you have to use your guns, as you slowly hold down the fire button and slowly watch their health chip away. Anyone who has ever played this game now has an irrational hatred of helicopters. While the levels themselves are bigger, the level design is generally more linear. Not much focus on exploring and firing things. Just go from point A to point B holding down the fire button. The fixed camera is still around for some reason. And it's debatably worse in this game, as the larger levels make it harder to see what you're doing, made even worse by the game's increased focus on platforming and platforming related puzzles. The graphics aren't much of an improvement over the previous game. In some points they almost feel worse. The environments feel a lot more dull and less detailed. Everything feels uninteresting and lifeless. And some of the enemy designs are so generic and unmemorable. And I'm not just talking about the possessed tanks and helicopter. The music's alright though, if a bit forgettable. DMC2 is just meh. It's not god awful, but it's just bad enough to notice. It's dull, it's bland, it's lackluster, it contributes very little to the series, and it's just overall forgettable. I mean, you could go out and play if you wanted to, but I'm not telling you to go out of your way to do so. Well, that's all from me. Tune in next time for something a little more exciting. Hello? Is there anyone there?
Did you really think you could escape me?
Please don't hurt me. I'm currently tied up and can't run away.
Oh, I'm not here for you. I'm simply here to reclaim what is mine. So, where is the egg?
It's time to review debatably the worst entry in...
You said reboot.
The game development itself is already a long story. To summarize it, I've come up with...